Anthony and Beata bought Newbury, a Victorian house hidden away in a corner of Bath so they could make a comfortable and stylish family home. With their 8-month-old daughter Yulia, they're embarking on a restoration project that will reveal their home's original features.
This is a nasty job. Don't you think, Julia?
Although at first they liked the idea of finding a Victorian fireplace for the sitting room, they're now leaning more towards the later arts and crafts look.
But there are lots of options out there, lots of different stages, lots of different ages of fireplace to go for. You don't want to jump into a decision straight away, do you? That's the main thing.
This house needs a lot taking out before Anthony and Beata can start bringing the period features back in. Their priority is renovating the sitting room. With a budget of £5,000, they're doing a lot of the hard work themselves.
We're going to start with the fireplace. That's the first thing that I'm going to take down. It's a rather nasty sort of multi-storey car park aesthetic fireplace, and I'll be quite glad to see it go.
As Anthony's finding, fireplaces can be treasure troves.
That's interesting. We've got some old hearth tiles underneath. Unfortunately not in great condition. We've got another patterned one here. And here, oh, there's a red one here. It's a real hodgepodge. It's interesting. I'm uncovering the layers of time and seeing what people haven't seen for however many years. Let me know if you see a couple of big cracks emerging.
Unfortunately, no Bath stone was found in this fireplace, just some 1970s concrete. But Anthony can still see plenty of potential.
One option is if we get a solid fire in here, they can kind of coat it with bits of stone to hide the brickwork. But we'll see what it's like after it's been spruced up. Might not be too bad.
As well as visiting reclamation yards, Anthony and Beata are also considering getting a bespoke fireplace. They're visiting a local stonemason, Paul Baker, who has worked with Bath stone for 20 years.
Here we're looking at the raw block that has come straight from the quarry.
Okay.
Anything up to 2 or 3 tons at a time,
Really?
so quite big pieces.
He caters for people wishing to bring a bit of history back into their homes.
In here, you're going to be inspired by a lot more different shapes and sizes.
Paul has a wealth of knowledge when it comes to reproduction fireplaces and can hopefully help Anthony and Beata decide on a style they could see in their home.
Let's go to Victorian, shall we? Because this is a very classic Victorian piece. You can see how the Victorians loved corbels and they loved these shapes and they put panels and things like that in there. Over here, Tudor arch style. It's just a little bit more decorative, so you've got these spandrels. These triangular elements that you see above the chamber.
I think the one that we like the most probably has been what was described as the Tudor one with the archway like that.
Like that, yeah.
I'm a bit iffy about getting reproduction items. Having said that, it does look quite nice. And there's also the argument that it's better to get specially commissioned contemporary stuff rather than getting something from a salvage yard which has been ripped out.
These fireplaces start at around £1,000, so once again this will be an important and potentially expensive purchase. Anthony and Beata are still a long way from any final decisions. One big tick off the list would be choosing the finish for the sanded sitting room floorboards.
We've decided we didn't really like any one of the 3 finishes that we had on the floor very much. Wasn't quite what we were looking for. So I've got some other waxes and lacquers and put them down. So that's the beeswax, just a bit yellow. Danish oil, and then this one, which is the wax polish.
The middle one gives you kind of warm feeling, you see?
It is warm. It's a very red hue, which is perhaps a little bit like the slightly scary finish that they used to get from all these varnishes in the 70s.
I think bearing in mind that we have enough red in the room,
Yeah.
I think this one.
This one?
Yeah. What do you think,
That's-
Julia? Do you like this one?
When it comes to furnishing the room, Beata and Anthony will have a host of choices to make, but at least they have the chaise longue to use as a starting point.
Well, it's a nice piece.
Upholsterer Simon Watson is here to advise whether it's a period piece and worth restoring.
Well, the wood's walnut. It's broken on the joints there and also here. I think it's broken at the back bracket down there as well, which we can see when we lift it up in a minute. Done traditionally, coil springs on top of hessian or scrim, horsehair.
Why was horsehair used in a piece of furniture? It seems strange.
Well, there were a lot of horses. Yeah. And, you know, literally that's the answer. And, you know, they would, the manes and the tails, they would certainly use and utilise, because it's long fibres.
It's a good natural
and
cushion.
it's a fantastic natural filling. There's evidence of worm.
Oh, is there?
There's some worm here in the front edge, and that's not uncommon with walnut.
Yeah.
It does mean taking off all upholstery, securing the frame, woodworm treatment.
Do you think this is the original covering?
No, this has undoubtedly been replaced. It is a really lovely piece. I'd say it's probably 1840s, 1850s. You know, the value is 15 to 1750,
Right, but not in this condition.
but not in this condition. No, in this condition, to be frank, top price you're probably going to get is about £100.
The cost to reupholster the chaise longue will be at least £600, depending on the fabric Anthony and Beata choose. It's a lot of money, but it could provide a great period feature for their sitting room. This is the Royal Crescent in Bath, one of the most iconic and historic areas of architecture in the city. And I've come here to meet Anthony and Beata to tell them the fascinating history of their house. We thought this might be a nice place to talk you through the history of your house and a bit more about the area that the house was built in. The one thing I will say, it's very lucky to still be standing.
Oh, gosh. Sounds ominous.
Yes, but don't worry, we're not talking about subsidence or anything like that. If I show you the first map, you can see the cliff.
Oh, amazing.
Beach and cliff, and you can see presumably the boundaries of where the old fields were.
Yeah, Beaton Cliff has always been a sought-after location in Bath because of its fantastic view over the city. In the late 1700s, it became a des-res for people who wanted to escape the heaving, sort of busy pollution of the city centre. You can imagine a town like Bath, in its centre, would have been quite mucky. So just to get that little way up the hill into the more beautiful area, and I can show you a picture of looking up again.
Wow.
Interesting. It was spelled differently then as well. Beach and cliff from the banks of the Avon from 1829.
So as you can see, as I say, roads all rutted and muddy,
Yeah.
people crammed in around the bottom there. They were in search of a sort of a leafier life and a greener area, very much like yourselves. I mean,
Yes.
you wanted to get out of the city and get somewhere that was a little bit more...
More like in a village.
I want to talk to you briefly about one of Beach and Cliff's most famous visitors, Catherine Morland. She's a heroine of Jane Austen's novel Northanger Abbey, and I'm going to read you a section because she refers specifically to it. Here we go. They determined on walking around Beach and Cliff, that noble hill, whose beautiful verdure and a hanging coppice render it so striking an object from almost every opening in Bath. I never look at it, said Catherine, without thinking of the south of France. Nice, though, that the area that you look at every day is actually referred to in one of the great novels.
It is, yes. Yeah.
And I can show you the view from the house in 1890 when it was built.
Wow.
Wow.
Very interesting. Look at all the names on the buildings.
Yeah, I was
Of course, these have all
businesses.
disappeared.
Yes.
And I suppose if you're down in the valley, knowing that most of Bath is sat on the hills around you, it's as good a place as any to put your advert.
Very good to see this picture.
Yes,
It's amazing, yes.
Great view, isn't it?
OK, let's talk about your house.
Oh, yes.
So, the first known resident of Newbury was Henry Welch and his family. Henry was a travelling salesman.
Right.
Sold hats.
Oh, wow.
Not much of that about anymore, is there, really? Henry lived in the house with his wife, Henrietta
Henry and
Gifford.
Henrietta.
Henrietta. When they first moved in, they had a 7-month-old daughter.
Oh, wow.
Sounds a bit familiar.
Flora May was the baby's name.
Okay. Did we have any more babies, do you know?
Yes, within 10 years, the family had grown to 5 children.
Oh, no way.
Any plans?
No way, no.
No? Anyway, they had one servant who probably lived in the one servant that they had probably lived in the room at the back of the
imagine so,
house.
yeah.
It means there were 8 people living in that house.
Wow, amazing. Very lively house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
But it's interesting that they actually choose the house for the same reasons as we did.
Yes.
Yes.
Beacon Cliff hasn't always been a peaceful retreat. In April 1942, the Germans launched bombing raids over 2 nights, devastating parts of Bath with high explosives and incendiaries. Now,
Does this show where the bombs fell?
it does.
Wow.
Gosh, a bomb fell very close.
One of the bombs landed in the gardens just 3 doors up from you.
Gosh.
So here's the house, and that's where the bomb blast, and it actually took out that house there.
Gosh. It's our house.
That was
It's
all that
very
remained.
lucky.
Yeah,
There were 4 fatalities on Beacon Cliff Road.
really.
417 people died over 2 nights. So a very dark period there.
Amazing. I didn't know that Bath was bombed so heavily.
So that's the history of your house, and the history of the hill, and the history of the area that you live in. The story of Beacon Cliff has clearly touched Beata and Anthony, and hopefully their house's remarkable survival has inspired them. Coming up, that centrepiece chaise longue gets a makeover to die for.
It's just a really lovely piece of period furniture.
Will it be a reclaimed fireplace or a made-to-measure one? We have a decision, and the new fireplace arrives. And I head back to Newbury to see how it all comes together.